Stories of the Consequence Keeper, the Lost Battalion of Gallipoli. Welcome back to Stories of the Consequence Keeper, where I share stories that are both thought-provoking and hopefully provide a moral lesson. Today I will share a story of disappearance, forgotten in history. Before we begin, if you find value in these stories and their lessons, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below and telling your friends and family about the channel. Today's story is one of war, mystery, and unexplained disappearance, a historical enigma that challenges our understanding of reality itself. This isn't merely a war story, it's a cautionary tale about how easily truth can vanish into the fog of history when we fail to preserve it. In August 1915, during the brutal Gallipoli campaign of World War I, 267 men of the 1st 5th Battalion of the Norfolk Regiment advanced into a strange, low-hanging cloud during the Battle of Suvla Bay and were never seen again. No bodies, no dog tags, no equipment. 267 soldiers simply vanished from the face of the earth. This wasn't some minor skirmish lost to history during ancient times. These were documented soldiers with names, families, and lives, gone without explanation. What makes this particularly disturbing is that multiple witnesses, including New Zealand Sergeant Fred Rakert, reported seeing the men march into a strange cloud formation that seemed to hover just above the ground, before the cloud itself lifted and drifted away, taking the men with it. The disappearance occurred 110 years ago during one of the most well-documented campaigns of the First World War. The 1/5th Norfolk Regiment, primarily comprised of men from the Sandringham Estate, the country retreat of King George V, had been ordered to support an attack on a position known as Hill 60. According to official records, the battalion advanced into battle on August 12, 1915, crossing open ground toward Turkish positions. As documented in dispatches from that day, a singular cloud formation was observed hanging unusually low over no man's land. The battalion, led by Colonel Sir Horace Proctor Beauchamp, marched directly into this cloud as they advanced toward enemy lines. Multiple witnesses, including officers from supporting units with clear views of the battlefield, reported the same extraordinary event. The battalion entered the strange mist, which then appeared to rise from the ground, drift over a nearby hill, and dissipate. When the smoke of battle cleared, not a single man from the battalion could be found, dead or alive. You might think this sounds like myth, but here's what's chilling. This testimony was included in official wartime documents, classified for decades. Eyewitnesses described the fog as unnaturally shaped and glowing faintly. One officer even remarked, "It looked as if the cloud was waiting." Let that sink in. What could have happened? Based on the accounts that survived, I've pieced together what might have transpired on that fateful day. The men of the Norfolk Regiment, exhausted from weeks of brutal fighting and unforgiving heat, advanced across the dusty plain toward Hill 60. The strange cloud, described in reports as dense, static, and unusual, hung approximately 6 feet above the ground. Colonel Beauchamp, seeing no reason to halt the advance, led his men directly into the peculiar formation. According to Sergeant Reichhardt and other witnesses from the 1/4 Norfolk and Anzac forces, the battalion entered the cloud in good order, maintaining their formation. Then something impossible happened. The cloud, which had remained stationary despite the day's breeze, suddenly lifted upward, drifted toward Hill 60, and dissipated into the sky. When Allied forces eventually captured the position days later, there was no trace of the men. No bodies, no equipment, no indication they had ever been there. Turkish forces, when interviewed after the war, had no record of capturing such a large group of prisoners. In fact, they reported no contact with the Norfolk Regiment that day at all. The men had vanished as completely as if they had stepped through a doorway in reality itself. Some say it was a natural weather event combined with enemy capture. But why no bodies? No evidence of a skirmish? No POWs? Others whispered darker theories. Time slips, dimensional rifts, military experimentation gone wrong. What if that fog wasn't weather at all? Now here is why this story should matter to you today. Here's where our story takes an unsettling turn. Since 2019, there have been multiple documented but largely unreported incidents of similar anomalous fog formations appearing at historical battlefield sites across Europe. From the Somme to Verdun, from Passchendaele to Gallipoli itself, witnesses have reported dense, low-hanging clouds that seem to defy natural weather patterns. Most disturbing are the reports from the Gallipoli Peninsula in 2023. where several research teams and battlefield tourists have reported seeing formations of men in outdated uniforms briefly visible within these mists before disappearing when approached. Park rangers and local authorities have documented these sightings, yet mainstream media outlets have shown little interest in investigating these phenomena. In October 2024, during the annual memorial service at Suvla Bay, attendees reported that a similar cloud formation appeared briefly over Hill 60, and several witnesses claimed to have heard the distant sound of marching and men's voices calling out names that, when later researched, matched those of soldiers from the lost Norfolk Battalion. In January of 2025, reports also surfaced from the US, UK, and Canada of mysterious fog that ordinary people felt was making them sick. Speculation of a chemical fog. Why aren't we hearing more investigations of these incidents? What forces might be at work to keep such phenomena from wider attention? Or is it simply our modern reluctance to confront mysteries that challenge our understanding of reality? What if? The true consequence of this tale isn't just that these men disappeared, but that no one demanded truth afterward, that humanity moved on, bearing mystery under bureaucracy. The fog took them, and the silence kept them lost. In a world increasingly distracted by noise, maybe the consequence is what happens when we stop listening to the quiet warnings of the past. The Lost Battalion of Gallipoli teaches us an essential truth. History is fragile, and what we don't preserve, we lose forever. For decades, this disappearance was dismissed as a simple case of poor record-keeping or men lost in the chaos of battle. Files were closed, questions left unanswered, and families were denied closure. The consequence of abandoning the search for truth is that we become vulnerable to the same forces that consume those men, whether those forces are supernatural, as some believe, or the very human tendency to look away from uncomfortable mysteries. As the ancient philosopher Santayana warned us, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. But I would add, those who refuse to face the unexplained aspects of their past may find themselves walking into the same mists that consumed others before them. What are your thoughts on this mysterious disappearance? Could there be more to this story than what history has recorded? Are the recent fog phenomena connected to the events of 1915, or merely coincidence? If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to Stories of the Consequence Keeper for more explorations of moral crossroads and unsolved mysteries. Leave a like if this tale gave you chills, and don't forget to comment on your thoughts of the fog of war. What are the consequences of never seeking the truth? Until next time, remember, the consequences of ignoring history's mysteries may be that we find ourselves lost in the same fog that consumed those who came before us.